Okay, so this is real life. Trump is now nominating Jared Kushner's father to be ambassador to France. Okay. Uh, Now, I guess it's okay. He's a convicted felon who did time, but then Trump pardoned him, remember? So let me tell you a little bit about this guy. And this is all public knowledge. In 2005, he was convicted of illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, and witness tampering, and was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. Well, he served in the federal prison camp, Montgomery. As a convicted felon, he was also disbarred in 3 states. He later received a pardon from his son's father-in-law. Okay. He's donated a lot of money to the Trump campaigns. He's he's a crook. He's a crook like his kid, or his kid is a crook like him. And here's what's kind of interesting about this. As a convicted felon, he was not allowed to, I guess, donate money and take part in the political system. So now he gets pardoned and he can give money and bribe his way into an ambassadorship and God knows what else. So back in the fall of 2015, there was an article that was coming out in the Washington Post. I was not the source of this article. However, this article was proving actually that Trump had a super PAC and was lying about self-funding, that he in fact had the super PAC Make America Great Again. When they asked him about it and asked Corey Lewandowski about it, they lied and they threatened to sue the Washington Post and doing the whole nine things. Corey slamming the phone down on the reporter. So here's the thing. When the Trump camp came to me months before that in the spring to try and get me to come work for them, and I said no, and then they defamed me and later said I begged them for a job, but even though I proved that they came to me twice, and then I said no. In fact, I was sort of ambushed. I was just having lunch with a friend who was going to work for the exploratory committee, who was on the exploratory committee, and then was going to work for that super PAC. So he brought along a guy named Corey Lewandowski, who I'd never heard of before. And they admitted they had to ambush me because they couldn't get good people to even talk to them about working on the campaign. So I did not agree to, an interview. They just sort of ambushed me. During this lunch with my friend, with Corey Lewandowski tagging along, I was told all about the super PAC because they wanted me to be, communications director. And Corey Lewandowski telling me at the time, oh, Trump's got this young kid, this girl, Hope Hicks. She's like the friend of somebody, but she's just a kid and she's in over her head and she needs supervision. And so, this is what they were talking to me. But again, like I said, I was just having lunch with an old friend as a courtesy. But this friend was heading over to the super PAC, the Make America Great super PAC. And I remember, and then they kept trying to get me to come back in and talk again. And finally, I agreed to, this time I did agree to a second meeting, left there, was like, thanks, but no thanks. Told my friend, gosh, real nice of you to think about me. But this guy, Lewandowski, is like, ugh. Didn't appreciate the hazing because Lewandowski was, yeah, I saw more than a glimpse of what we all later learned about him. And it was shocking, So I went down on Fifth Avenue, called my mom, and I was like, geez, this guy. She's like, well, don't burn your bridges with your friend. I was, because I was a consultant. I take dozens or hundreds of meetings a year. I'm like, yeah, I know. But wow, what a joke. And that was kind of it. I mean, it was this big primary of 16 people eventually. There was another campaign that had approached me about a job that I didn't think was quite right for me. I didn't really feel like camping out in Iowa for the season. And I talked to other campaigns, sometimes just offering advice or feedback. I was a Republican at the time. I was interested in seeing good Republican races being run. And that was pretty much it. So then Trump became problematic through the summer. And I did my first public criticism of him when he made the comments about John McCain not being a war hero because he didn't like people who get caught. So that's when I'm like, okay, enough. And I went public and I'm slamming him, telling the truth about him. Well, when I saw this article that Trump and Lewandowski were lying about having a super PAC, I knew that the article was on target. I knew it was correct. Now, my friend had never even made it to the super PAC. He left the campaign before they even descended down that staircase. But they were talking openly about the super PAC in front of me. Corey Lewandowski's friend was going to be running it. And then we find out in the article that friend had had meetings in Trump Tower. And they were so open about the Super PAC that I remember thinking, now they hadn't officially launched the campaign, but it's like, this is really weird that they're being this, oh, I didn't have an NDA or anything. And I thought, have the laws changed? Because there's supposed to be no coordination. And Lewandowski was just, maybe he was just young and didn't know what the hell he was doing, but he really shouldn't have been talking to me about it or anybody. So when I see this article in the Washington Post, I step forward with tweets. I didn't know how to thread them at the time, so I just numbered them. I said, they have a super PAC. They told me all about it. Lewandowski told me all about it months ago when I was there, blah, blah, blah. So now there's another follow-up article in the Washington Post asking Lewandowski about my, what I said. And he was shocked, and he stammered around and admitted that they had approached me, and talked to me. But then he said, oh, that was a different super PAC that we were thinking about doing, but never did, which of course is a total lie. That was the day the catfishing of me started. I was kicked off Fox News that day, canceled on, because at that time, it looks like they just picked up the phone and told Roger Ailes, get rid of her, keep her off the air. I'd been on Fox and CNN, MSNBC for years and years, hundreds, a couple thousand times. So that was the first thing that was odd, because you don't do that. You don't call, campaigns can't just call up a TV network and dictate who they can and can't have on. So the fact that Trump was able to do that, again, this is like October of 2015. So anybody who thinks that he just became an authoritarian, he was doing it back then. And a chill went up my spine, because I'd been in politics and political media for a long time. I'd never witnessed anything like this. And then months later, he did the same thing with CNN. Well, that was the day the catfishing of me started. We later found out. The catfishing was somebody pretending to be a lawyer working for Republicans overseas who had some claim through marriage of American roots. And this lawyer allegedly had privileges of both the U.S. and the U.K. It was all a lie. It was set up by Team Trump to try and get information from me and get in good with me and that sort of thing. And eventually they were caught. Remember, I was also hacked. I was threatened. I was defamed, the whole 9 yards. But the catfishing started that day that my name appeared in the Washington Post because the reporter called me with the tweets, which I very deliberately did. And I told her everything. Yeah. Corey Lewandowski talked about this quite openly. In fact, Don McGahn, who was the counsel for the campaign, would have been the guy to set up the paperwork for that super PAC. He's a former FEC commissioner. So here he was trying to help Trump lie about having a super PAC, because months down the road, then when they got a cease and desist after Trump defamed me, they got a cease and desist letter from my lawyer. And that's when Don McGahn was calling my lawyer saying, hey, what can we do to tamp this down? And my lawyer said, tell Trump to delete those defamatory tweets about Sherry Jacobus. And I also wanted to make it clear, we're not asking for money. We want this done. So they went back and forth, because Don McGahn wanted me to sign an NDA with Trump that I could never talk about that super PAC or anything else that was discussed in my meetings. Because remember, I was just having meetings. I didn't sign an NDA to have a meeting. I wouldn't take a meeting if somebody told me that I had to sign an NDA. So I was going to be doing this, and then something wasn't feeling quite right. I knew the damage was done. I knew that Jeff Zucker, Trump's little buddy, was banning me from CNN for good. This was the authoritarian part. First, you control the media. You now have state-run media. And Fox had done the same thing. It was chilling. This goes beyond bias. This was chilling. So I decided not to sign the NDA. And Don McGahn was having a cow over that, because I knew that there's no way I was going to enter into a legal agreement with Donald Trump where he had any say or any control over what I said, what I wrote, anything that I did. So that's how that went. Now, to back up on Kushner, one of the aspects of that story that Trump was still denying was that there was a super PAC fundraiser for the Make America Great super PAC, the one they said didn't exist. They had it at the Kushner's house, I think in New Jersey. And it was thrown by Jared Kushner's mother. And she seeded this super PAC with $100,000 contribution. The reason Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's father couldn't do it is because he was a convicted felon who had done time. Okay? That's how it works. Once he's pardoned, he can donate as much money, I guess, as he wants and buy himself an ambassador seat. And that's what appears has happened. So they all knew there was a super PAC. They all lied about it. They're all part of the cover up. Didn't matter. In the end, did it. I could prove that they were lying about me. No one in the media cared. And here's the other thing. When Corey Lewandowski picked up the phone to call into Morning Joe and he defamed me and he lied about me and I could prove he was lying, Joe would not let me on the show to defend myself. He wouldn't even read a statement on the show saying that I dispute the allegations or even say, look, Sherry Jacobus going to prove that you guys came to her and asked her to meet with you or you wanted to hire her. She didn't come to you. And here's her email saying, yeah, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I could prove it all. Meanwhile, I'm getting the crap beat out of me by Trumpers on Twitter, everywhere, my whole life. Remember, this is when this stuff was all kind of new and I didn't have the Twitter following then. So they got away with this, ruining someone. And they've done it repeatedly. But the whole Kushner tie-in, when I just saw that he was going to be the ambassador to France, it's like, this guy shouldn't be doing anything. He's a criminal. He's hiring prostitutes. I just read you the whole thing, what he did, I guess, to his brother, trying to set him up. These are bad people. And once you get bad people now with no guardrails, and since this is Trump's second term, there are no guardrails. There is nothing. Only bad people will work for them. You're not even going to get people now who like, well, you know, we thought we could change him or pretend that they didn't know and they saw the light, you know, that sort of thing. What you're going to have now in the Trump administration is pure evil up and down the line. And this appointment or nomination of Jared Kushner's criminal father, who did 2 years in prison, is proof of that. Can we really not do better in this country? Ask yourself that. So when your MAGA friends and family, if you still have them, I won't have MAGA friends. I just can't do it. But when they start defending this, ask them, is this the best that America has to offer? Of course it's not. It's being done for a reason. And it's not just to troll us. Some of these nominees of Trump's, I think, are to troll us a little bit. But there's something very sinister going on. And I've connected some of the dots on some of the things. These aren't conspiracy theories. I think we know now that we're in serious trouble as a nation. But to have Jared Kushner's father, the criminal, our ambassador to France, is a slap in the face to France, to the rule of law, to all of us. But again, he can now give as much money as he wants to the various Trump entities. But I was thinking about that when I saw his name. It's like, oh yeah, they had a fundraiser for the Super PAC that Trump claimed. Oh, Trump attended the fundraiser, by the way. Trump attended 2 fundraisers for that Super PAC that he claims he didn't have and didn't know about. And that Jared Kushner's mother seated with $100,000. Such bullshit. God, we're in trouble.